I think so.
Okay. What day it is? Shoot day!
Oh my, nobody. What day it is? What day it is?
I don't know where to look.
Looking at it. They're all just looking at their phones.
Technology.
Call me out of the dark. I cannot find my way out on my own. Be the light to my haven, the light to my haven, my home, sweet home.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Mike Kesslak of 41st Casanova Productions, back with an episode of Behind the Glass. In this episode, we are going to be going over Light to My Haven by Seth Balestrieri.
Call me out of the dark. Oh, I cannot find my way out on my own. Be the light to my haven.
This was a very exciting project to work on because it was very different from any other video that we have worked on with him. And on this episode, we are actually going to go over things a little bit differently. As you can see in the previous ones, it has been a behind the scenes capturing of the video with some input by the artist and talent and people on crew. In this one, I'm going to take a little bit more time to sit down and talk with you about some of the challenges that we faced and overcame going into this project and as we went through the editing process also. So I'm going to jump right into it. One of the biggest things that we faced was in casting. We knew that the subject matter of the video and of his song was a little touchy and it was a little personal. So when casting for this project, we really wanted to find somebody that didn't only want to be a part of it in general, but that wanted to be a part of the message and that wanted to be a part of the underlying theme of the video. So when we were in the casting process, one of the people that reached out and that submitted for the role, as you can see in the music video, was the very talented Erica Snow. Now, from the first conversation that we had with her, she was very much invested in the content just because of personal things in her own life and her own past as well. So right away, we kind of had a feeling that we wanted to shift in her direction because I've actually worked with her before years ago on a previous project and she was great to work with then, so we already had that rapport and comfortability of collaborating together. So when she submitted for this and after we talked about everything and showing all of the submissions to Seth, he finally decided to go with Erica, which was a fantastic choice.
When I found out that they were casting for this, I was really excited about it because it's something that means a lot to me. I think that mental illness and stuff like that isn't talked about enough, and we don't pay enough attention to it, and we really need, that's something that we need. I think the world would get along a lot better if we paid more attention to how people feel and what's going on with them. So I like that this is, spreading awareness of that.
Falling down the well, I'm tripping on my laces, and I need to find a way to face this pain. But I'm rising up, I'm going crazy, and I need someone who can save me.
Now, another thing that we had to talk about was that when we sat down together, Seth and I, we had to figure out how we wanted to go about this video and if we wanted it to be mainly a storyline or if we wanted it to be mainly performance or a mixture of both. This is one of the first videos that you'll see from him where there is zero performance and it is all imagery driven and sound driven and score driven, which we'll get to in a little bit. And I think that that's what made this video and project so much more than what it was.
So the song itself is very simply, to put it simply, is about being in a dark place, or just not necessarily directly about depression, but just everybody goes through their dives in life, and it's just about that point where you really just can't find a way out of it and you just need some help. So it's more of that feeling that you're searching for, somebody to lend a hand, just because you kind of threw everything else in. So you're all in and then you're out of options and you don't quite know where you're at, so you need somebody to take you out of it. And then in the case, it was, being a light to a place of comfort. That's why it's called Light to My Haven. So finding a place where it's kind of like your home in a sense, so somewhere that's really warm. So the video itself is actually pretty cool too, because me and Mike, we had talked about it too, and it was almost like that we had a theme for the video beforehand too. We wanted to do something that was a little bit more on the dark side, just because it's something we hadn't really explored before. And when we were talking about it, originally we were going to do it in October too, so it was like started out as a Halloween video, but it ended up being more than that because you know, it's talking about something in real life, and I think real life things are a lot scarier than anything else that we could have come up with too. So in the sense for this one, it just ended up being about depression and even addiction and those kind of things, because they're real issues. And in the video, I'm sure because you guys have seen it now too, it's pretty awesome because you know, it paints the picture of somebody who's running from themselves. And if you're running from yourself, essentially, you don't find an escape because you're in your own head, you're in your own mind, and there's no way out of it except for, you know, you're running. So you're doing the work, you're putting your heart into it, but you're not really actually getting anywhere too, which is what goes hand in hand with the song, which is why in this case it would have been good for our main character, Erica, to have someone to lend her a hand, but she didn't.
So fast forward past pre-production into the production. Our first day of production was a little tough because we initially wanted to get everything done in one day. Unfortunately, Mother Nature doesn't really care about our schedule.
So we're out here today with, hold on. So we're out here today with Seth Balestrieri filming his music video in the shitty woods that couldn't clear up from me. So what we're gonna do, Seth, come here please. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish this video, and by the way, the budget is triple since we're in the rain.
Okay, I understand.
All right, are you okay with that, Erica?
Yeah, I mean, the budget doesn't affect me.
I was saying it for you, but yeah, no. That's when you whip to her. Camera
You're
cues.
whip to Erica.
Hi.
You're gonna whip.
I'm done with this.
I was gonna, but I didn't know. I kind of.
So it began to rain and drizzle, and we didn't get that much sun, which actually the fact of there not being any sun helped us for the aesthetic of shooting, because we had this nice overcast the whole time, and which caused this nice soft light throughout the woods and kind of caused this eeriness. So as you can probably tell in the first part of the video, before she sees the other person or herself, it's a lot darker, and that was due to the fact that we had to do it on 2 separate days. The second day of shooting, it ended up being a lot brighter, so we made the creative decision to use that point where she turns around and sees herself as that creative break where it is able to kind of switch up a little bit because the whole momentum changes, which was something that we decided to do in the pre-production process also when we discussed how the shooting styles were going to be different.
It is going good. We're getting a lot of, like, some of the last running shots that we need. We're shooting it on the shoulder rig since it is kind of a different part of this story, if you want to say. It's the second half of the story. So the first part is very fluid on the Ronin to give it a different feel than this one. So it's a lot more difficult on the shoulder rig though, because I'm trying to keep focus, keep framing, and keep a lot of other things intact while running. So but yeah, so we're almost done. A couple things that I'm trying to keep in mind now also is, like, when I'm shooting from the back, which you'll see the shot, is we're trying to keep framing right for the light that she's following, so then Dan, our editor, can put it in post. So just trying to have the vision for that without it being there, as trying to get used to, because I haven't had to do this before. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes.
So one of the cool creative elements that I do want to point out is that we had 2 kind of different effect heavy things happening. One, as you can see, is that we had it revealed that she was chasing after a light. To have that put in, we reached out to my good friend Dan Iman, one of the other editors on the 41st team, who is very good with graphics and special effects and After Effects, a lot of stuff that I don't know how to do, and he was actually able to throw that together. So how we had to shoot it was a lot of knowing where we wanted it to be in the frame. So you have to kind of have an idea ahead of time of where you want the object or something that's going to be put in, or where this effect is going to take place. So, you know, as you can see when she sees it for the first time with the camera movement coming around and then revealing it, I left a lot of space on the right-hand side to give Dan the opportunity to plop that right in there. And I think that he did a really cool job. And after a couple of cuts back and forth, we realized that it looked really cool with definitely having that glare and that kind of flare back on them in the reaction shots, back on her, when she was looking up at the light. And as you can see, the same thing at the end when it's both versions of her faced off against each other. Now, bring it away, Seth.
And now walk towards her.
We could have easily, for the first reveal, had her look back and then have somebody back there in a similar outfit because it's out of focus. But we wanted to kind of be as authentic as possible. So what we actually did is that we put up a blue screen right behind her.
Seth Balestrieri here, director of green screen. This is how you start with the unzip. And then you start, there's a little, you want to be sure to avoid the little tassel when you're pulling it out because it could accidentally set the whole thing off.
That's what she said.
Then you have a bag girl in the background. And
Okay.
you can choose blue or green, and all you do is voila.
Whoa.
You know, and then what you do is you take your actress, right? You put it in front of her like this, and then
That's not how
her
it works.
perfect green screen.
No, it
And
goes
if you
behind
want-
me, actually.
Green side.
There we go.
Blue screen.
Not really.
And we had her go through the motion, and I moved to the side with the camera in the direction that she was going to be looking over her shoulder. Again, you need to kind of have an idea on what is going to go into the place special effects wise while you're figuring out the motions ahead of time. Make it a lot easier on the editor. So for this, put the blue screen behind her, have her look over her shoulder, and then she turns back and then she runs away.
And snap. And run.
When I go into post, I take out the blue screen, I go into mask or key. I believe it's a color key. I can pull it up right here. I went into that, I actually masked around her, and I had to mask out her face because the blue in her eyes was being picked up when trying to key it. So I was actually taking out the blue in her eyes as well. So that can't happen, obviously. So I took that out and then I put it on top of the layer that we had of her in a different outfit, way in the back. I kept the same focal point, so it was still the same amount of blur behind her and depth of field. And so then when she ran, I cut to that, and then it's good. So it's just about layers, masking, and keying to create that visual effect. Now the one at the end, which is actually a little bit simpler, is I wanted to have both of her face off against each other. And I actually explained it right here in this BTS clip.
I mean, I'll go reiterate when we get there, like the motions that I'm going to have you do, because it's going to be very tricky, because I'm not going to be using the green screen for when you're both like running towards the light. So I'm going to be kind of like meshing the middle of the screen together and doing whatever and cutting it. But so like where you run and jump is just like that. I do. It's going to be awkward because you're going to have to do like a type of jump that it's very over dramatic.
Okay.
Because in slow motion, it's going to look cool. In real life, you're going to feel like an idiot.
I mean, I had it this whole time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
let's
Exactly.
be real, I don't
Then
run well.
And then you have me, and then you have me over here be like, it's fine. The hair, move the hair. Go from there to here, like 4 feet, and then jump. You have to go from that side 4 feet, then jump, because I want the symmetry of you jumping in like the same kind of position up at the same light. So that's going to be the trickiest part.
I'm getting really 80s flashback, like, yeah, Captain Planet vibes.
Captain Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm
go
picturing
for it.
the hand out
Yeah.
there too.
Captain Planet.
Just like that.
You
he's
put
our
left
hero.
leg out, and
Excuse
right
me,
hand.
when did you become director?
Wow.
I'm director of jumping. That's it.
He's the stunts coordinator.
I
I'm
didn't.
trying to get more credits here.
It's his goal in every shoot. How
He
many
just
credits
wants to
can
be
he
more
get?
involved.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's feeling left out.
He's like, well, I can't hand model.
Why
in
am
this one,
yeah.
so.
Why am I even here, Seth? You don't need me. Here, take the camera. You're good. Since this is in slow motion, I need your action to be quicker. All right. So put your hood back on, and then we'll just jump into it right away. Let me know when you're good.
All right.
All right. And take off your hood. Looking at her. Look up at the light. Look back at her. Look up at the light, and then walk towards it. Good.
Haven, my home, sweet home.
as you can see, Dan did a fantastic job of putting the light in there, that light source, and we had to have them do a couple different takes to jump up into the middle to try to get their hands at the same point. Go ahead, Seth.
A couple arm rotations.
Okay.
And then forward arm rotations to get the wind flowing behind
All
you.
right, just
So you can go, wait, I'm showing you here. And then you gotta take a couple steps. You gotta block it. So heel the ball, and then you just.
You barely got off the ground.
That wasn't even a jump.
No, it's gonna be edited in post. And then you just.
Captain Planet, he's our hero.
Go towards light.
Ah, too high.
Here you go. I'm happy with that. How are you? All right.
You good?
Yes. Good. Because that was huge, because sometimes the left would go up a little higher and then the right would be a little bit lower. So trying to find that spot where they're leaping towards nothing, because obviously there isn't a light there, and then afterwards in post, I would crop the frame, put it down the middle, feather the edges a little bit so then you couldn't really tell that it was cut, and then it looks seamless. It looks like it's just one shot, and that's kind of a cool little trick. I mean, it's a very simple trick. Some of you in the film industry or other editors may know of just to crop it and then to layer it on top of that, but for anybody who's not familiar, that is what we did for that shot. Okay, so now that the production is done, we moved on to post-production. So all of the editing process. Now I ran into a huge hiccup, if you want to say, while editing. I was editing and I was getting into the story and I was loving the pacing, and then it got to the point where she saw the light. And then I realized I have about a minute of the song left. So I'm not gonna have enough time to be able to put the rest in and be able to just edit everything out unless I rush the story. So I relied back to a trick that I've done for many, many music videos in the past, where I will take a portion of the song and I will kind of cut it out. I'll cut the audio from the song and then I'll go into kind of a sound design break. Only if it fits though. If it doesn't fit or if it doesn't make sense to do it, then do not do it. But in this circumstance, I thought that it ended up fitting perfectly. I thought that as soon as she starts to see the light, let's make it eerie. Let's make it creepy. So I took a part of the song at the instrumental at the beginning, before you hear lyrics. I reversed it, slowed it down to about 50 to 70%. We're actually hearing a part of the song, so it's still keeping that authenticity. And then I bring in a couple other sound effects and sound design little cues, whether it's like slow whooshes or, you know, when she like whips her head back or right before she runs. And as I'm doing this, I can realize that something is missing. So I came up with an idea and I told Seth to trust me. He has no idea that I'm doing this. I did not go over it with him. He does not know that I'm making this creative change to the video, and he hasn't even seen it yet. So I wanted to do everything and then show him. So I had this idea to contact Erica because I wanted to have her do some voiceover stuff for me that I could see in my head and hear in my head as being this small creative element that maybe a lot of people might not catch on to because of the way that I'm going to be editing it, but I think it's going to add a lot to it for people who are invested into the project and just in general. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, listen, like, I know that this project is personal to you. I know that this subject material is very personal to you. I have this idea. Do you think that you would be able to give me some voiceovers of you saying the thoughts in your head that you have heard in the past when being confronted by any of these negative thoughts or negative feelings? And again, as I said before, the subject material is something that she has experienced in her own life. So I really wanted to go about it in a non-intrusive way so she would feel comfortable with it. And fortunately, when I asked her that, she said, of course, absolutely. So what I wanted to do with this and what I said to her was that I wanted to manipulate her little sound bits of all these things that she was saying, whether it was, you know, like, as an example, you're not good enough, you know, like all of these internal thoughts. And I wanted these to build up. I wanted to layer them and then build them up as she was looking at this light and as the reveal of her behind her was coming in. And then right as she goes to turn around, it cuts out. So it's like this buildup of hearing all these. So whether they're coming from the light or whether they're coming from the person behind, it's again, it's up to you. But it built up, and then I told her, I just want you to whisper, run. Like, that's it. So if you listen very carefully to that part, you can hear it drop out, and then you hear, run. And then she takes off. And I don't know, I felt like that was a really cool little Easter egg for everybody on the team, and everybody was that was a part of it. And again, maybe not a lot of people caught on to that. I talked to a few friends afterwards who really enjoyed the video, and a lot of people didn't even know that that was a voice, but they liked that in it. So again, that was just something for us, a little Easter egg to share with all of you. Hope that you enjoyed that. So after that edit, I put it together, I exported it, and then I sat down with Seth. And this is just a little look at him watching the video for the first time.
I don't know how to play it though. Spaceball. I should know that. Oh, that's cool already. I'm so excited for that. This is like so suspenseful right now. And then was that little sound at the end? The horn. Dang. That was pretty sweet. There's a lot of really cool transitions. Yeah, they're like really like seamless. I don't even know how you do that. And even just the title and the tree was like even my favorite part. I know.
Did you? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. No, that was Dan. I told him, I was like,
Yeah.
can you do this?
Yeah.
I was like, can you put the
I love
title
that.
of the
Yeah.
tree? All right, sweet.
That was pretty sweet. I was like really suspenseful.
Was it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I was almost starting to get like horror movie like going. I was like, oh snap! And then that one where where you got the evil version walking.
Yeah.
That was cool. Like it was like a cool like I don't know random like skip movement. Or something.
Yeah. It was
You know what
like
I'm
kind
talking
of like the sped up thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool. I was like, oh, cool. That was cool. It's not like any of my other videos.
Not even close.
Well, my other videos are cool too. It's not like it's a different cool.
Yes. Did you like the break?
I did.
Okay, that was the biggest thing that I was like worried about. That
Yeah.
took me a while.
Yeah, well, because we haven't done that in anything before.
Yeah.
You know, we never broke mid-song. And I think that's even better, actually, sometimes to do, because then if I ever do anything with the audio part of it, like, you know, it's different here, and then, you know, so they get something there, too.
So, I had the idea to do this for the break in the song. Do you know what those noises are?
No.
So, that's what you hear right before you hear
Oh,
that.
wow. Yeah.
That takes off.
Dang, now I gotta watch it again because I didn't catch that too. Well, I actually didn't even realize it was like talking, to be honest, like because it just like all I know is it felt suspenseful, whatever it was. I was like, you know what I mean? It was like a weird.
But that I saw that more as like a fun fact. For anybody
Yeah,
that wants
no,
information
that's
about
pretty awesome. I like that.
Well, I was very excited that he was cool with those creative decisions that I made, because I was very nervous, but I knew that he would probably be into it. But there's always that small chance that he might not be. But again, we have that type of relationship with each other where he trusts me, and you know, that's all that I can ask for. So I really hope that you all enjoyed this little inside look at Light to My Haven by Seth Balestrieri. This is a project for us that has kickstarted the year, and I believe has kickstarted a different type of creativity in the relationship that him and I have. So we are excited to hear all of your feedback. And also, I wanted to say that if you are interested in more breakdowns like this, where I come on here and kind of break down the actual production, pre-production, post-production process of how some of these videos were made, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love to do this for you, but only if you want to hear it. But let me know, because I love talking about it, as you can tell, and I want to try to share as much information with everybody as possible. And if you can take anything away from that, awesome. So thank you to Seth for trusting me with your vision once again. Thank you to Erica for being a part of an awesome project and absolutely killing it. Thank you to Kim, thank you to Matt, thank you for everybody on set that was a part of this project and this endeavor. And we are just very excited to see how this year goes. All right? Again, Mike Kesslak from 41st Casanova Productions. I hope that everybody has a fantastic day. Peace. I think that's it. meh. And sticks.
Seth Balestrieri, out.
Captain